It's said that life is a journey best traveled with friends.
Along the way are adventures and misadventures. But if you're Miz Mel's friend, you'll find some Miz-adventures.
Join Miz Mel for misadventures with friends and explore the paths of friendship.
Welcome to you. I am your hostess, Miz Mel, and today on Misadventures with Friends, I'll be visiting with two young friends, Avonlea and Lauren. And if you know me, and you probably know those two names, you probably realize that you're in for something. These two young ladies I've known for a very long time, since they were probably in like 5th grade or something like that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, about 5th grade.
Yeah, I was 10.
Yeah, 10. And a lot of time has gone by. We won't say how long, but they are grown-up young ladies now and still full of the same mischief that they were full of back all those years ago.
That's fair.
Yeah, that's fair. So welcome to both of you, and I'm glad that you were able to work it out to be here.
Yeah, thank you for letting us come on. I've been listening for the past few episodes that are live at this point, and I really enjoyed it.
Good plug. Thanks.
A plug on your own show.
Yeah, plug them on the show. Well, go tell 500 of your closest friends.
I do.
And
I'm the queen of plugging a podcast.
This is true. I get every other day, I've got a recommendation for a podcast in my inbox.
Yeah.
Well, that helps. That gets our listenership up, so we can grow, because we want to grow. I'm not quite sure when we'll release this podcast. It could be possibly around Christmas time of this year.
Well, Merry Christmas if it is that time.
So we'll know that it's going to be a Christmas gift to open up.
Yes.
And to share with our friends. So I'm really, really happy that you agreed to do this. So we're going to just dive right in there and just think way back to elementary age. Tell me how you two became friends.
It's my favorite story.
So, Lauren and I we lived in the same apartment complex, and our brothers were friends, like just neighborhood friends who were playing together. And I was, I think, 5 or 6, and Lauren was probably 4 or 5, because our birthdays are close, but not that close together. And we were sent out, I think, both individually to get our brothers to come in, and I was like, "Hey, you're so-and-so's, little sister," and she was like, "Yeah," and I was like, "Cool, you're my best friend now." And that's kind of when it started, and hasn't stopped since ever. And I've just kind of continued to dictate that we are going to be best friends.
I mean, you had no choice, did you?
When I was 4, I've been shy my whole life, and so I struggled making friends. But Avonlea just told me we were going to be best friends, and I was like, I don't think I've ever had somebody want to be my friend like that. So this is great. And we kind of both, on that one day in the middle of June, just decided we're best friends, and it never stopped.
Yeah, we made our families be best friends, and then there were some times through middle school where maybe we didn't want to be best friends anymore, but our moms became best friends, and so we were always together. So, I mean, I know I count it a blessing that we were still forced to be in each other's proximity. Yeah. So now, on the other side of middle school and high school and all of those awkward years, we're like, oh, no, you're still my best friend. And also, that position is filled. Nobody else needs to come around.
Yeah, like our families being so close meant that we didn't really have the opportunity to be away from each other, but that allowed us to go through the rough years of being a teenager. Whenever nothing makes sense, you kind of still have the consistency.
Yeah.
Of someone you've known since you were 4.
Yeah, that stability of somebody who knows you probably better than any person needs to know you.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good thing most of the time.
For us, so far, it's been, even whenever we're not happy about it, like, when someone knows you that well, that means you can't pull one over on them.
Yeah.
So even if it's as simple as you saying, I'm fine, and other people are like, oh, okay, Avonlea's like, no.
No, you're not.
You're not fine. And we're going to have a conversation about that.
So it can be annoying because you're like, the thing that we say to each other is, don't act like you know me.
Yeah.
But we do.
Yeah.
So
I probably know you better than anybody at this point.
There's nowhere to hide.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that. I've got at least one friend like that, you know, the kind that finishes your sentences or your thoughts for you, and we argue back and forth with each other. And in fact, your mother said we sound like some old married couple. Yeah. And I was like, now wait a minute. Hey. No, we're not. We're just friends that know each other too well.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I've heard you two get into it. And I know you can. So you set each other straight whenever possible. Now, my relationship with you goes back to when we were in a national organization together, youth organization for girls. And I've kind of followed you through that until you graduated out of that program. A lot of people on the podcast have heard me talk about camp.
Yes.
And they know that camp is special to Miz Mel. And you two were at camp with us quite a lot. We worked your rear ends off.
Yeah, I was at camp until I was unable to be at camp.
Yep.
Yeah.
I was at camp until I got married, genuinely.
Yeah, that's the way my daughter talks about it too. She's like, Mom, it's always been camp. I said, well, that's our time together.
Yeah.
So that opened up opportunities for you all to step into leadership roles, to work hard and learn the ropes of organizing big events and things like that. And
I still use lessons that I learned at camp in my everyday life, like the whole I'm gonna figure it out. Give me 20 minutes and I will be able to pull this together.
There you go.
Because the organization that we were in, I mean, all of the leaders that I know have always said our specific troop of that organization really hounded in the resourcefulness. We are pros at pulling a pile of trash into just art truly, and just making it work and making do with what we got, and not just making do, but making it something special.
Special is the right word.
Something special. Well, you two have a genuine special friendship. How would you tell someone to go about making friends? Now, Lauren, you said, you were shy, you had a tough time being out there and meeting people. And we'll have adults and maybe some young people listen to the podcast that are stuck in that same situation. In fact, I know too many adults that are stuck in that situation of not being able to be comfortable with making friends. First of all, tell me, how important is it to have friendships, and what advice would you give for someone that really desires to have those kinds of friendships?
Well, as far as how important friendships are, there's this quote, and I can't pinpoint exactly where it comes from, but it's C.S. Lewis, and he says that he's talking about the grief whenever you lose a friend. And he says, whenever my friend died, it wasn't just that I lost somebody. It was that there was a part of me that my friend could bring out that I will never again have brought out. So friendships are important because you meet these people that you can be yourself with, but they also bring parts out of you that other people don't get to have. The parts that Avonlea brings out in me, my husband has never seen because you react differently to different people, and different people allow you to explore different aspects of yourself. And so friendships help you understand who you are. I know that there's been plenty of times when I don't know who I am or what I feel or what I should do, and talking to Avonlea draws that out of me. And you can't replace that with yourself. We're born to need community because it draws your personality out into the light. And you meet people who like that personality. And it seems very simple, but having somebody who likes your personality is life-changing. So friendships are very important.
What advice would you give to someone who is seeking that kind of depth of friendship?
To, in some way, understand what is important to you, because you don't know how you're going to react to people. You don't know what kind of people you want to be around until you figure out what's important to you and kind of have to face some hard truths about who you are. And so you figure out what's important to you and what you need and what you can provide. And then when you meet people, you can't force that friendship. You have to meet somebody who you kind of click with on some level. The more you know about yourself, the more you can connect with the people around you. So you learn about yourself as you grow up, as you get older, especially into adulthood. You figure out what's important to you, what's not important, what expectations you have, what expectations you can meet. You have to figure these things out as you grow so that you can figure out the kind of people that you're around. And once you figure out the kind of people you're around, it's weird how you can just live your life and people just show up into it, and then you have to make a choice. Mm-hmm. Friendship is not, I don't want to say it's not easy, because there are some people where it's easy to click with, but persevering through actual friendship is not easy. And you make a choice to love somebody. And so you figure out yourself, you go out into the world and you click with somebody, and then you make a choice to love them, and then you don't stop.
Well said. Mm-hmm. Well said. Anything to add to that?
No, I don't think so. As a younger person, I was definitely a lot more outgoing, and I would say now into my adulthood, I would probably be one of your listeners who was like, how do you make new friends? Like, I don't, especially like, I have been lucky enough to like live in the same area as my friend that I've had since I was 5 years old for almost my entire life, except for maybe, I would say, a total of like 4 years. We have not lived next to each other, as almost. And in those 4 years, I had to like really come to terms with like, you know, everybody throughout their life as a young person is like, okay, I had these rules and these expectations, and then as you get older, you're like, oh, I now have the option to like choose which parts of my childhood that I want to bring into adulthood, what parts of who I was do I want to call and let go of, or do I want to, you know, continue to nurture and like really take into shape. And some of the things that I had as a young person that maybe were not necessarily bad character traits were spoken about to me as if they were negative. I was very strong-willed as a child. I knew exactly who I was and what I was going to do. And growing up, I was not always told that those were strong character traits. I was more led to believe that they were hindrances or negative or harmful to other people. And because of that, I became a lot more introverted, shy as I've gotten older. And I've been very lucky to have a friend who was like, hey, all of those people were not being, just because they were saying something doesn't mean that it was true. And like, yeah, you might have heard it as a child, but that doesn't mean that you were, like, yeah, maybe you were bossy, but, or maybe you just like knew what you wanted. And like, that's fine. That's not negative to like know what you want and know what you care about and know who you are and have those opinions. And I don't know, I think a lot of times in our current society, people try to like really differentiate relationships of like, these are friendships, these are romantic relationships, these are familial relationships. And I've been very lucky that because of the way that I was raised. Like in your past episodes, you've talked about our village, of like how we just chose to be with each other. And I mean, between camp and then also like church and things, that the way that I was raised, I count myself very lucky to have people who I'm not biologically related to that I consider aunts, cousins, family, like, you know. And for me, when I look at making new friends, I kind of view it in the same way that I would view dating somebody new, of like, all right, do we have things that we have in common? Do we have things that we have difference about that we can have a conversation about? Like for me, Lauren and I have been friends for 21, 22 years, and I can still call her and talk on the phone for 4 hours about nonsense and never feel like I'm wasting my time. And then there are some people in your life that when they call you, you're like, all right, what's the point of this conversation? Can we get to the point?
Let's get to the point and hang up.
Yeah, get to the point and hang up. And like, I don't know. I view that, like, when I met my now husband, my like baseline threshold for a person that I was going to date was, do I want to hang out with them as much as I want to hang out with Lauren? And if they don't come close, then they're not worth my time, because my best friend, I enjoy her company so much that if I don't enjoy your company as much, then I have somebody else better to hang out with. Why would I waste my time with you when I have somebody else that I genuinely enjoy hanging out with? And I mean, I was lucky that I found somebody at such a young age that I love hanging out with my husband as much as I love hanging out with Lauren.
I was going to say, you set yourself a high standard.
I did, but for me, that was important. Like,
right.
I would rather spend time with somebody who challenges me as much as Lauren has challenged me, or who is as dedicated to putting in the effort to loving me through all of the hard parts of my life that Lauren has. Like, not only like awkward years, but like breakups, my dad passing away, like we've been through some really, really hard times together. And Lauren was like, I don't know how to make it better, but I'm here. And for me, that's like the most important thing. Like when it hits the fan and you're looking around, who is still next to you saying, all right, let's grab them off, we're going to start cleaning it up. Like, those are the people in your life that I think are worth pursuing the friendships with. And I'm lucky to have more than one person who's like that in my life. I know that not many people were as blessed to be raised by such a group of people who are like, all right, it's hit the fan.
But we're there.
I have a mop.
The village has got the cleanup crew.
Yeah, I have a mop. I got a shop vac. I'm coming. Like, I don't have anything, but I'm coming. I'll grab a pair of gloves on the way.
And the beauty of that is that it's metaphorical, but it's also very literal. And there aren't a lot of people who would be willing to stand next to you while you clean somebody's poop off a wall.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But you find the people that are willing to do that.
Yeah.
And why on earth would you want to be around anybody that's not them?
Yeah.
And
agreed.
It makes me laugh that you were so lucky to find your husband, like, so young. And Miz Mel said you set yourself a high standard. And it makes me think about how I did not have that standard when I got married. And now I'm getting divorced.
Yeah.
And I've told Avonlea that I will never be married again until I find somebody that I feel like I can love as much or more than her. Because I knew when I got married that I did not love him as much as I loved Avonlea. And I didn't give myself that standard because I thought, that's not possible. And then 2 years after I got married, Avonlea met someone who is incredible and who she likes as much as she likes me. And even in the middle of my marriage, that made me have to stop and be like, these are some choices that I've made. And then when my marriage fell apart, I'm driving back to my hometown, and the first person I pick up the phone and call is Avonlea. And it hit the fan. Mm-hmm. And I could barely drive. I couldn't see through my tears. And Avonlea talked to me for 3.5 hours, the entire drive. And she let me cry. She let me talk. She made me laugh. And anybody who can make you laugh when you're running away from your marriage is somebody that you found forever in. And so it is a high standard. But I don't know, what I've learned from my experiences is that you should have that high standard. You should want to be friends with your husband as much as you want to be friends with your best friend. And if you do, things persevere.
Yeah.
Because we know about perseverance.
We know about some perseverance.
Okay, we've hit resourceful and we've hit perseverance.
We can go through the whole creed if we need to.
Okay, well, we'll just keep that in anonymity as well.
You're listening to Misadventures with Friends.
Both of you are now active in the workplace, both working and doing things out with people, the public, or whatever. Talk to me a little bit about work relationships. Do friendships develop through work relationships for you, or is that kind of a taboo type of thing? My motto has always been, you can be friendly, but you don't have to be friends.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna let you take this.
That's generally my motto, but we have the special experience of we were young adults when COVID hit. And COVID brought about a particular kind of trauma. And when I was an office manager in a retirement home. And we had an office that was probably 12 by 24 feet with 5 people in it.
Gosh.
So, and at any point, it could be 3 to 5 people. So you're going through this national pandemic, and we were in a retirement home with a very at-risk community. So there was a lot on edge, and I came into that workplace a month before COVID started, or before America was specifically affected by it. And you had your COVID circle, and my work people were my COVID circle. During the year that we dealt with COVID protocol and outbreaks and all of the residents that died from COVID, you don't recover easily from that, and you lean on the people that are around you. And in that year, I could talk to Avonlea, we saw each other once. And that was the first time in a long time that had happened. Mm-hmm. And so you have these voids to fill. And at work, I became very close with those people. I mean, we started a Bible study together. We sent each other messages outside of work. I had one friend that when restrictions lifted, 3 of us at the workplace went out to like bars and stuff at night off the clock. We chose to spend time together because for the past year, we were all each other had known. Mm. So it's hard for me personally to look at that and look at work relationships because I have not had a job as an adult where I haven't needed people around me like that. Mm. And even after I moved back here, after I left my husband, I have a partner at work. We're in the same department. Our office is 16 by 6 foot and our desks are right next to each other. So I'm with her in a box for 8 hours a day. And at some point you can be friendly, but also when that's the only person that you're with for hours and hours on end, you kind of have to decide we're going to be friends. I can't sit at a computer screen and be quiet all day. Whenever there's things happening, when patients drive me crazy, when other coworkers drive me crazy, when partners, outside of our building drive me crazy, the person that you can relate to is right there. So I think workplace friendships can sometimes be bad because they can be a little codependent, but they can also be really good because you spend the majority of your time with them. And if you choose to be friends with these people, as my partner and I discussed with each other, we both agreed that we chose to be friends with each other. You kind of, it makes work easier, it makes work more enjoyable. I get to go to work because I know I'm going to see Brooke. It's exciting for me. And when I think of something that happened previously, I think at 8 o'clock tomorrow, I'm going to tell Brooke about it. So I don't know if I have a normal view of workplace relationships, because we came into the workforce at such a weird time in America.
Yeah.
So
I have a little difficulty with the people I work with. We're definitely friends. I love them very much, but conversation is really, really difficult with a 2.5-year-old and a 4-month-old. And
See, I'm in that boat because throughout, I mean, I've been just about every job you can have or any workforce. I've worked in a bunch of places, but I have settled in nannying as like my full-time career. And so I've worked with, a 5-year-old autistic boy who was nonverbal and his infant little sister. And now I'm working with a 1-year-old little girl. And so for me, workplace friendships, I'm like, I am lucky that I get along really well with the families that I work with. But there's this weird line of like, yeah, I think I would be friends with you, but you're also my boss. And like,
right.
You signed my paycheck.
Yeah, you were the person paying me. And like, for me, I left one family that I was working with when I moved back to this area, and now I'm lucky, like I'm really good friends with them. I go back, I visit all the time. I've gone to every single birthday that they've had since I've left. I hang out with them, we're friends. I'm like, and now I like can talk to their parents as if they're, my friends. So when, the mom is like being like, oh yeah, we're dealing with this with our children, and also sometimes my husband's doing this thing that's annoying me. When I was working for them, if she had said anything negative about her husband at that time, I'd been like, I cannot be part of this conversation. He's my boss, and you are my boss, and I cannot be part of that. But now I can be like, yeah, that's kind of messed up sometimes, or like, or the opposite of like, hey, have you considered that maybe you're the problem in this moment? Like, I can be a friend now versus, or then like. And the year between when I was nannying for these two families, I was working in a public school system, and I was a related arts teacher. And so, most teaching, like, every grade has kind of its own little thing. But because I was related arts, and my classroom was not where all of the other related arts teachers' classrooms were, I was very isolated. And everything in my personal life, I was also self-isolating because we were dealing with my dad's illness, also coming off the death of a grandparent very suddenly. Like, we were just, my family.
There's a lot coming down the pike.
Yeah, and I am very much like my dad, and like when things start getting stressful, I fully retreat into myself, and it can make it hard for my friends to like be like, I want to be there for you, but like you're acting like you don't want anybody around, and then I get like, why is nobody here for me? Like, you know what I mean? Where it's like, it's not necessarily a healthy dynamic.
Sometimes we draw those walls and we forget to put some windows in there.
Yes, exactly.
And then you go, why is nobody looking through my window?
Yeah,
and
why?
You go,
I forgot to put the window in when I was building that wall.
Much less the door.
Yeah. Yes. And so, for me, workplace friendship, and also just like my own personal like mental health diagnoses and things like that. Like, I struggle making casual relationship connections. Like, my brain, the way that it's wired is like, we're either in it together and you're my person and we're going. Like, almost all of my friends I have had for 7+ years at this point in my life, because like when Lauren and I were 5, I decided we're friends, and I don't know, I'm a bit like a toe fungus. Like, I'm here, and you gotta deal with me, and I'm always gonna be around. Like, maybe sometimes I'm less annoying, but like, I'm here and I'm in it for the long haul. And so for me, like, starting or having these relationships where I'm like, I also have a really hard time with like seeing people outside of the context that I know them. So like, when I was younger, if I saw a teacher and they were not at school, my brain could not handle that. Like, you exist only in the school system. And
don't you live there?
Right. Like, not even just like, don't you live there, but like the moment I left school, you ceased to exist in my world. And so
we used to joke that Avonlea had the what is it? The
Object permanence.
The object permanence
Of a baby.
Of a baby, because when you were removed from her daily life or removed from even just like the context,
Yeah.
they stopped existing, and then they came back, and Avonlea was like, "Oh,
You're real.
You're
You're
real.
a person. Yeah. There have been times where, like, I have seen somebody, like, somebody from church who I love, and, like, I had a very close relationship with them at church, and I saw them in the Walmart, and I saw them, they didn't see me, and I turned and walked away because I was like, I can't talk to you here. This is not where I know you. This is not where we have conversations.
okay." But do you think that's a personality thing, or do you think that comes from your autism?
Probably a little bit of both. Probably. I mean, nothing, because of the way that, you know, autism works, is like nothing about my personality can be separated
All right.
from, because it's a brain makeup. It's
That's
not
fair.
like necessarily just like, oh, this little thing about you. Like, it's just how my brain is wired. So there's nothing about me
Yeah.
that is not like directly related to autism. But for me, I'm like, okay, this is where I know you. So I struggle. I can be really good friends with somebody at work. But if they were to be like, hey, let's hang out outside of work, like, it would take me a while to be like, yes, we can actually do that. That is a thing that people are allowed to do. And I have even gone to hang out with Lauren after work with some of her work friends. And I'm like, I don't know how to react. I don't know how to be in this situation. Because, like, are you work Lauren or are you my friend Lauren? And I have a hard time remembering that, like, most people don't divide up their life like that. Like, work Avonlea, home Avonlea, friend Avonlea. And, like, yeah, I'm the same Avonlea in all of these situations. But, like you were saying, like, different parts of your personality get pulled out by different people.
Yes.
And, like, so, like, work Avonlea, like, I am so on it. Oh, man, you've never met a more organized person than work Avonlea. She gets it done. Home Avonlea? You never know. You know, like, it may or may not happen.
Home Avonlea can put off a task for 3 weeks.
Yeah, I relate to that
Yeah.
at a very deep level.
And I'm like, I'm so organized. Like, people from work don't realize that, like, I forget to do tasks. Like, they don't have a concept of that. Like, what do you mean you forgot something? Because work Avonlea doesn't forget anything. Home Avonlea? I forget a lot.
Those clothes are sitting on the bed for about 2 weeks, for sure.
I definitely have a clean basket and a dirty basket. So clothes aren't on the floor at least, but they never make it into the drawer.
Join us on the next episode for part 2 of A Chat with Lauren and Avonlea.
Misadventures with Friends is a production of Depot Street Studios and Rocket 88 Broadcasting. Music is from Storyblocks.com.